maraming salamat sa ating University President, the President Aurelio Paulo Bartolome, for his kind introduction. Ang VP for Academic Affairs, Dr. Ofelia Carage, the Vice President for Research, Dr. Normita Villa, ang ating mga guro, of course, headed by the deans of the different colleges, the members of the faculty, members of the staff and administrative staff of the Taguig City University campus, other distinguished members of the Board of Regents, officials of the university, to even the non-teaching staff who are here today, and other personnel and employees of the university, and of course, to the students of Taguig City University who are in attendance this morning. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. First of all, thank you very much for your very warm and kind reception and welcoming me here at TCU. Alam niyo na malaking bagay sa akin bilang inyong halal na lingkod bayan na makapiling ang ating mga kabataan, lalo na ang mga mag-aaral ng ating kolehiyo at universidad, upang maibahagi ang aming mga tinatalakay sa Senado ukol sa ilan sa mga mahalagang issue ng ating bayan. Siyempre, kasama ko sa prosesong yan ang inyong mga kababayan na si Kompanyero Pia Cayetano at walang iba kundi si Kompanyero Alan Peter Cayetano na siya rin butihin na may bahay ng inyong mahal na punong bayan na si Mayor Lani Cayetano. So I'd like to thank you for inviting me to join in this university lecture series where education, the great equalizer, I think that is very much to the point, and I would say that the students of the TCU it is particularly appropriate for the students of TCU dahil dito ay ramdam na kung ano ang pagbabago sa mga buhay ng ating mga kabataan ang idinudulot ng isang magandang edukasyon. You are the lucky ones who are here in this university who are getting the benefit of that education which will serve you well for the rest of your life many years to come from now. The subject that has been given me, or I am a little bit intimidated because your president said we invite experts. I don't know if I'm an expert, but I am I guess I could say that I am the one person who has been most deeply involved in this subject matter since the beginning. Sadyang napakahalaga kasi ng magiging epekto ng panukalang batas na ito, hindi lamang para sa ating mga kapatid sa Muslim Mindanao, kundi pati sa ating buong bansa. And what am I talking about? I am talking about the creation of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and the law, the basic law that is presently being written to implement that constitutional mandate. As diligent university students, you have been chosen as the sharpest, the most receptive to pick up valuable lessons and insights from this seminar on our constitutional system and our form of government, as well as on the interplay of the different branches of government and the political forces involved in this proposed legislation and proposed shift in our government policy. You may have learned in the news that the modified version or the substitute bill to the Bangsamoro Basic Law is being deliberated in Congress as we speak. Sa katunayan, kakatapos lang ng mga katanungan ni Kompanyero Pia Cayetano ukol dito. Nalalapit na rin ang schedule ni Kompanyero Alan Peter Cayetano na magtanong. Kaya naman ako ay nag-aaral na mabuti dahil alam naman natin lahat kung paano ibuhos si Senator Alan ang kanyang buong puso at sa tuwing gusto niyang talakayin ang isang mahalagang issue kagaya na ito. Ngunit bago tayo magsimula, pag-usapan muna natin ano ba talaga itong basic law sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Nagbago na. Hindi na namin masyadong pinag-uusapan yung BBL. Yung BBL, the Bangsamoro Basic Law, ito ang version na ibinigay ng Palasyo sa Kongreso. Ito ang version na ginawa sa gitna ng MILF at ng ating peace panel ng ating OPA. Ngunit kaya natin hindi na masyadong napapag-usapan yung BBL dahil nung naibigay sa amin sa Kongreso, maliwanag na walang pag-asa itong pumasa sa House of Representatives, walang pag-asang pumasa sa Senado. Kaya bawat kamara ay naghanap ng paraan upang ayusin ang mga nakitang problema sa naturang BBL. I hope you are all aware of a basic Philippine constitutional principle that certain parts of Mindanao are declared to be on a different political status in relation to the national government and in comparison with other local government units. For example, the city of Taguig. This area in Muslim Mindanao has been recognized under Article 10 of the Constitution as an autonomous region alongside the Cordillera region. In essence, they are an aggregation of local government units which share a common and distinctive historical and cultural heritage. Ibig sabihin, may kasarangan sila. But note, however, and this is a very important point, that there is a difference between autonomy and independence. So, while they may be viewed as autonomous, they are not independent from the Philippines. Right now, this certain part of Mindanao is called by the legal description of the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, or I'm sure you have heard, ARM. The grant of their autonomy has been enfleshed in a law enacted by Congress. We have Republic Act 6734 in 1989, and then we have Republic Act 9054 in 2001. Para sa inyong kaalaman, ang Cordillera Region, wala pa, hindi natuloy ang kanilang pagbuo ng kanilang sariling autonomous region. Despite two attempts to operationalize this autonomy, both once in 1990, another in 1998, parehong nangyari na hindi sumang-ayon ang mga tao sa plebisito noon. Hindi nila nakamit ang matamis na oo ng taong bayan. Sa Muslim Mindanao naman, ikatlong pagkakataon na ito, BBL, na kung saan babalikan at aayusin natin ang kasarinlan ng rehiyon na ito. Now, to put in proper perspective, this BBL, we as an entire nation are now trying to renegotiate this grant of autonomy to ARM. During the previous legislations, it was the Moro National Liberation Front, or MNLF, that stood as the negotiator for the ARM. Ngayon naman, ang kausap ng ating pamahalaan ay ang Moro Islamic Liberation Front, MILF, na siyang kausap ng ating pamahalaan. At sa halip na ARM ang kanilang gustong itawag sa kanilang autonomous region, Bangsamoro ang gusto nilang pangalan. In doing all this, we are governed and guided by the framework of our constitutional democracy. Hence, we have to follow the rules and precepts ordained by our Constitution. Let us go back to what I'm sure you learned in your Political Science 101, that the form of government that is ordained and authorized under our 1987 Constitution is a unitary, presidential, republican form of government. On the national level, we have the executive branch, legislative branch, and the judicial branch, all independent constitutional bodies. On the local level, we have what are called the territorial and political subdivisions of our country, or the local government units. A most obvious example is the city of Taguig, or the province of Rizal, or any of the other LGUs down to the barangay level. These LGUs also enjoy local autonomy, but not to the degree allowed for in the ARM and in the Cordilleras. Notwithstanding the grant of autonomy under the law, the President still has the power of general supervision over both the LGUs and the autonomous region. Because of the primacy of our Constitution, the BBL, both in its substance and its procedure, for its enactment and enforcement must follow certain basic principles of the Constitution. Number one, the agreement between the MILF and the government of the Philippines, often referred to as the GPH, do not bind the entire Philippine government. Kung maalala ninyo, meron ng mga naging kasunduan sa pagitan ng MILF at ang GPH. Sa katunayan, ito ang nagbunsod ng tinaguriang original draft of the BBL. But we have to understand, however, that these agreements do not bind the Congress. Neither does it bind the Supreme Court. Kung minsan nakakarinig tayo ng mga komento sa iba't ibang panig na sinasabi ng MILF, nakipagpirmahan na kami sa ating Pangulo para sa amin na kasama na dyan ang buong gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Now, that is a mistake to believe that. Because pagka nagkaroon ng isang treaty sa gitna ng dalawang bansa, ang Pilipinas at isa pang sovereign nation, at nakapagpirmahan tayo ng treaty, ay pag pumirma ang ating Pangulo sa ganyang klaseng treaty, ay kasama na ang buong pamahalaan. Dahil ang foreign policy ay nasa ilalim ng ating Pangulo, nasa ilalim ng executive. Ngunit, kaya't hindi ito, the reason why it does not apply in this case is because the MILF is not a separate country. The MILF's agreements with the government are not international treaties. Therefore, they do not bind the Congress and they do not bind the judiciary. That is the mistake that some people have made, to believe that signing with the President already binds the rest of the government. Kaya nangangamba ang iba na parang yung MILF, ang tingin nila sa sarili nila ay isang bansa. Dahil ganun ang gusto nilang trato sa kanilang pagpirma. But they have to remember, this is not an international treaty. This is a peace agreement between our government and a rebel group. It doesn't bind the Congress, this agreement, neither does it bind the Supreme Court, much less the entire country. The confusion sometimes arises because you see the acronym GPH, or Government of the Philippines, giving the impression that it covers the entire Philippine government. You should not be misled and should rather be reminded that it only covers and binds the executive department of the government, the President or Malacanang. Besides, it is our President that had claimed in the first place that the ARM was a failed experiment. It is the basis that they use for having started this entire process. To get to my second point, Congress, through the power of lawmaking, not only has the authority to enact the MILF GPH original draft of the BBL, but furthermore, the Congress has the power to change its terms to make it faithful and amenable to the provisions of the Constitution and to ensure the balanced and inclusive development of our country and of all our people. In school, we learn that under our present Constitution, Congress is the lawmaking body, not the President. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mo nang talagang dumaan sa Kongreso etong ibinigay sa amin na BBL bago ito maging ganap na batas. Anuman ang nilalaman ng original na BBL, at anuman ang naging kasunduan ng GPH at ng MILF. Pero ang problema, ang napakalaking problema, ay lumabas sa aming mga naging pagdinig sa Senado at marami pala sa probisyon ng BBL. Yung original draft na BBL, marami sa probisyon ay labag sa ating saligang batas. Kaya ang aking ginawa ay minabuti kong humingi ng isang pauna o pampaganang lecture o sermon mula sa aming dalubhasa sa Senado sa saligang batas na si Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago. Ang ginawa ni Senator Miriam ay nag-imbita siya ng mga magagaling at matitinik na mga utak sa saligang batas upang pag-aralan ang draft BBL. At kung ito nga ay naaayon sa ating saligang batas. Sa kasawiyang palad, ipinagtibay ng report ni Senator Miriam ang aming naunang hinala. Labag talaga sa konstitusyon ang draft BBL. Ika nga ng sikat na libro ngayon ni Senator Miriam, Stupid is Forever. Ang gusto raw di umano ng BBL ay gawing isang part sovereign state o state within a state, ang itinaguraang Bangsamoro. It has all the elements of a state under the Montevideo Convention. Look up what the Montevideo Convention is. It was a convention that was held in Montevideo, but it sought to define the elements that made an entity, a political entity, a state. And these are namely, number one, a permanent population, a defined territory, and a capacity to enter into relations with other states. All of these are contained in the draft BBL. Kaya't nasasabi ito ay unconstitutional. So I had to make sure that the Bangsamoro proposal would not turn arm into a state within a state. The national and territorial integrity of the Philippines should be preserved and should be protected. The Bangsamoro proposal cannot contain provisions leading to opportunities for secession or for breaking away. The matter of defense, of security, and peace and order in the Bangsamoro should always remain with the national government. I also had to make sure that provisions leading to normalcy and more stable peace and order in the area were contained in the substitute bill. Ano ngayon yung substitute bill? Yung substitute bill ay yung bagong version ng batas. Noong tinignan na namin, pinag-aralan namin, nakinig na tayo sa mga iba't ibang grupo, sa iba't ibang mga eksperto, at sa ating pagdinig sa kanila, ay nakita natin kung ano ba ang mga problema doon sa original draft BBL at ibinago natin ang kailangan baguhin upang unang-unang maging constitutional ang draft itong bagong batas. Pangalawa, na maging mas maliwanag ang itong batas na itong tinatawag na basic law. Bukod pa ron ay hindi lamang sa kanyang pagkaligal o paglabag sa saligang batas, kailangan din ayusin ang dalawang bagay. Unang-una, yung tinatawag na inclusiveness. Dahil naging problemang nakita namin maagang-maaga pa sa pagdinig, ay ang ating pamahalaan ay nakipag-usap sa MILF lamang. Hindi kinausap kahit sino pa na iba't ibang stakeholder. Kaya tika namin ay hindi magiging matagumpay ito kung isang grupo lamang ang inyong kinakausap. Kailangan kasama lahat at kailangan maunawaan ng lahat ng stakeholders. Kailangan sila sumuporta sa ating ginagawa ng may pag-asang maging matagumpay itong ating ginagawa ng basic law. I fully agree that peace and development in Muslim Mindanao are as much the primary objectives of the BBL as the grant of enhanced autonomy. That's why we included provisions on the so-called normalization of communities and the decommissioning of forces. Ibig sabihin nito, kapalit at kasabay dapat ng mas malawak na autonomiya o kasarinlan ay meron dapat kaakibat na mas taus-pusong pagtigil sa pagkikipaglaban sa gobyerno, pagbababa ng mga armas at paglalansag ng mga armadong grupo. We have to disarm, literally and figuratively, a portion of our people who are so used to or so steeped in a culture of arms-bearing, fighting, and killing. The enactment of the Basic Law is also a time for our brothers and sisters to lay down arms, to replace those arms with plows, with tools of trade, with books, with computers and other wholesome and more potent materials of creation, not of destruction. Other building blocks of social development and progress must also be included. In fact, these were some of the valuable lessons that we learned from the Mama Sapanot massacre in January of this year. We were able to appreciate the importance of achieving lasting peace in Mindanao. We were taught about the virtue of trust. Remember that the MILF was involved in this deadly skirmish, the very same organization that our government had been exclusively talking to and negotiating with in the past several years about, quite ironically, the quest for a just and lasting peace in Mindanao. It is just unfortunate that it took the lives of 44 brave SAF policemen in the line of duty, fighting for the cause of peace and against global terrorism, for us to be reminded of these important goals. At the very least, we were greatly comforted by the thought that our fallen 44 heroes had given their lives not only for the single valiant purpose of bringing fugitives to justice, but for more important and transcendental reasons, that of revealing imperfections and weaknesses in the peace process in Muslim Mindanao and making them all known to the rest of the country. So in my sponsorship speech for the BBL substitute bill, I deemed it prudent and made it a point to pay tribute to the memory of our fallen 44. May they forever be remembered by a grateful nation. Malapit dapat sa inyong puso ang ating mga Special Action Force o SAF dahil para ninyong silang mga kababayan, hindi ba ang kanilang tahanan at headquarters ay nandito mismo sa inyong mahal na lungsod na Taguig. To continue on the relationship between the different departments of government, the Supreme Court has the power of judicial review and the authority to declare a law unconstitutional. Siyempre, kailangan namin pag-aralan mabuti sa Kongreso ang BBL na ito hanggang sa kanyang pinakamaliit na detalye at mga nakatagong epekto. Hindi pwedeng basta't bara-bara na lang. Hindi pwedeng bahala na si Batman ang ating iniisip. Mas lalong hindi pwede basta rock and roll to the world ang ating gagawin. Hindi obra yun dahil alam natin, lalo na dito sa batas na ito, kung minsan pinapaalala ko sa ating mga kasamahan, na kapag ang ibang batas ay tayo nagkamali, meron siguro magkakaproblema, meron siguro makakakita ng imposibleng pangyayari, baka mahihirapan sa kanilang negosyo. Dito sa ating pinag-uusapan na basic law, hindi lamang ang bureaucracy ang pinag-usapan, hindi lamang mga regulasyon ang pinag-usapan. Ang pinag-uusapan dito ay buhay ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino. Kasi alam natin na nariyan lamang sa tabi-tabi ang ating Korte Suprema na siyang nakabantay at nakaabang sa ilalabas ng batas ng Kongreso at nag-aantay sa anumang magiging reklamo ng ating mamamayan na ang BBM ay laban sa ating konstitusyon. Otherwise, all the painstaking work of Congress would just end up being another target of a petition by a concerned and well-meaning Filipino citizen for certiorari and prohibition with the Supreme Court on the ground of unconstitutionality. And that is why we have made all the effort that in the substitute bill that I had written and proposed to the Senate, that we have attended to and that we have addressed all of, number one, the constitutional issues. Number two, the issues on administration, the issues on the sharing of powers, and finally, the issues of inclusivity and the issue of decommissioning. I'm sure we will be talking about more of it later. That is why, kaya ngayon, hindi na namin napapag-usapan yung BBL. Dahil kagaya na sa aking sabi, yung BBL ay talagang walang pag-asang pumasa sa House of Representatives, wala rin pag-asang pumasa sa amin, sa Senado. Kaya ang ating substitute bill ay binago natin ang pangalan. Ang tawag ngayon ay ang Basic Law on the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. In short, BL-BAR, para hindi naman masyadong mahaba. So that is what we are discussing now. When we talk of the substitute bill or the BL-BAR, no, that is a substitute bill. The version that I wrote to address all of the perceived infirmities in the original draft BBL. If the BBL that were to be passed by Congress is eventually stricken down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, what happens? Would it be the end of the road for the proponents? Well, if the proponents are really bent on passing the BBL in the exact shape and form as drafted by the Palace and the MILF, then there would be no other legal recourse but to initiate also a move to amend or to revise the Constitution in order to accommodate and make possible all the very drastic changes in our existing government structure and institutions called for under the BBL. In other words, ang buong Pilipinas, papalitan ang sistema ng pamahalaan, ang sistema ng ating mga local governments para ma-accommodate ang nasa BBL. Kaya parang sinasabi natin, para ma-accommodate ang isang lugar sa Pilipinas, ang buong Pilipinas, 95% ng Pilipinas ay kailangan baguhin ang lahat ng sistema. And that for me does not really make any logical sense. And the phrase that always comes to mind, pag pinag-uusapan constitutional changes to accommodate the BBL, ay parang sinasabi ko, the phrase that I keep thinking about, this is the tail wagging the dog. Should not one territory within the Philippines be compliant to the systems of government, to the rest of the Philippines, rather than the other way around. And this has been the approach that we have taken, and we have tried to make the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, although it is a very different kind of local government, something that is still akin to the local governments that we have around the country. As of the moment, we are in the stages of interpolation and amendments of the substitute BBL in Congress, or the BL-BAR, for further refinement and for improvement of the basic law, before it is finally brought to the floor for voting and for passage into law. Presidential approval is to be expected in all probability, since it is the President behind this proposal from the very beginning. But even so, after the President signs the law into a Republic Act, the law shall ultimately be laid down before the affected regions of Muslim Mindanao and its inhabitants for their ratification at a plebiscite, wherein they will have to answer the important question, do you approve of the basic law for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region? These are the peaceful, unifying, and constitutional ways of doing this. In the name of peace, let these all be done. We cannot allow shortcuts, no railroading, no threats of violence, no threats of war. We have heard all of those. We have seen what happened in the House of Representatives na kung saan minadali ang version ng palasyo. We have seen we have heard from the different factions, even from the palace, that if we do not pass the draft BBL exactly as is, then there will be war. Ang sabi ng ating Pangulo, pag hindi nyo pinasa ito na BBL, start counting body bags. Hindi ako naniniwala riyan. At hindi tayo sumasang-ayon sa ganyang sinasabi na kung hindi pasa ang BBL ay magkakaroon ng gera. ay sa aking pagpalagay. Kung maganda ang ating ipapasa na substitute bill, kung maganda ang version ng basic law na ating ibibigay sa ating mga kapatid na Muslim, ay ito ay mas maganda ang pag-asa na maging matagumpay at ang magiging isang bahagi at malaking hakbang upang matulungan ang ating prosesong kapayapaan. And for this, I have worked hard. I have risked much for the proposed legislation to reach this stage. Just a few weeks ago, nagulat kami at pinaputukan ang ating opisina dyan sa Rojas Boulevard. Nakita pa namin, may bala pa. Pero siguro sa tagal ko sa trabaho ito, hindi na siguro ako naapektuhan dahil sa aking tapat na paniniwala na tama ang ating ginagawa. At sa aking buhay, lagi kong sinasabi sa aking sarili, huwag matakot kapag tama ang ating ginagawa. So I am not rattled. I am not rattled. I am not shaken. Gaano man kahirap, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang ating trabaho. It is too important to lay down. I will do everything to make sure that all the hard work will not be put to waste or set at naught, especially on the mere whims and caprices of unseen forces working and weaving their magic behind the scene. Your public servant assures you, our youth, and our posterity that as an elected representative of the Filipino people, entrusted with the life and future of our nation, I will continue the valiant struggles of our patriots by ensuring that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our country is kept intact and respected by all, that our people are united by a common aspiration for a genuine and lasting peace, order, justice and development not only in Mindanao but in our entire country as well. Makakaasa kayo rito, ating mga mahal na mag-aaral. And through this short talk, I hope that you are able to find some important lessons about our topic this morning, because it is very important. It is important that you find those lessons because of the sheer importance to our life as a nation, to our lives as Filipino people, especially to you, our youth, as the future of this great land. You shall be inheriting the country and the society that we, your progenitors and forebears, are now shaping and molding in your behalf. What we do today is history in the making. By your active involvement and your insights in the national dialogue, you too can be part of the process of writing this particular chapter in our nation's history. I urge you to be involved in your own ways as youthful, exuberant, dynamic, proactive students. I also humbly ask for your support, your patience, your understanding. So let me end on that note. Mahaba-haba na ito at marami na akong nakwento sa inyo. Thank you for your time and your attention. Mabuhay ang Taguig City University.